It's really slow.
Yeah.
Well, we're having technical difficulties with our live stream and our recording, which is not great because we like people to be able to see these and be able to go back and listen to them. But we will go ahead and get started, and hopefully that will pop up here soon. So, welcome to the October 21st, 2019 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. At this time, I will call the meeting to order, and I'll ask that you stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We don't have any proclamations this week, so we'll jump down to the consent docket. On the consent docket today, we've got some meeting minutes. We have acceptance of a pedestrian easement over on Stillwater Street, and then we have the approval of rights-of-way, purchases of rights-of-way for the Perkins Road expansion project. Councilors, any questions, comments, or items you'd like to see removed from the consent docket?
Mayor, I would like to remove item D.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other items, councilors? Or is there a motion to approve the remaining items?
Motion to approve remaining items on the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket minus item D. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that consent docket is approved minus item D. Takes us to public comment on items not scheduled for public hearing. I don't have anyone sign up for those items, so we'll jump down to 6 items removed from consent. Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to remove that because we've had so many questions and comments about what are we doing with the roads. And this is, I hope that you will look at the agenda and read all the details related to this right-of-way procurement. There's a lot that goes on to fix roads that's behind the scenes. And so that kind of gives you a sense of what is going on. So although you don't see trucks on the streets, the roads are being readied for repair.
Yeah, these are acquiring all of the different rights-of-way we need to be able to do the Perkins Road expansion project on North Perkins Road. This is from McElroy to Lakeview, give or take a mile or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to get all that stuff together so ODOT can start that project, hopefully late next year. Right, Monty? That's where we are in the schedule? Yeah, please, yeah.
So right now, we're shooting for November of 2020 to take contracts. That's what ODOT has on their calendar, at least the division engineer. We're working hard to get the right-of-way secured and then start relocation of utilities, and so that we can meet that. So our goal is to have all the utilities relocated by the 1st of August so they can certify that it's cleared and then go through their process.
Monty, will you remind us what you mean when you say go under contract?
So this is an ODOT project. I'll remind you that what our responsibility is in the project. Our responsibility is to pay for the engineering, pay for any right-of-way that's required, and that's what we're doing now, and pay for any utility relocations that are required. A public utility that's in the existing right-of-way generally relocates at their own expense. If they're outside of the existing right-of-way, then the agency purchasing that right-of-way, and they have to be moved, have to pay some of those costs. You generally get some credit for depreciation. If it's a 20-year-old facility and it's got a 15-year-old life, you get a little credit for that. So we think those are going to be very few. We've been working with some of the utilities to adjust how much right-of-way we need so that we don't, particularly the substation. Those are very expensive, so we've made some accommodations there. So, and then ODOT will certify the right-of-way cleared, and then we'll go through their bidding process, or they'll go through their bidding process, and then the local office here administer the contract.
There's a lot that goes into it, right?
There is quite a bit.
And for those of you interested, there's more project description, including a video of what this design will look like on the city website at stillwater.org. All right. Vice Mayor?
Motion to approve item D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item D from the consent docket. Please vote. There it is. With a vote of 5-0, that item is approved. We had video for a little, oh, there we are. If you're just joining us, we've now approved all the items on the consent docket. And that takes us to item 7, public hearings. Under item A, we have received public comment regarding a request from Beta Psi of Gamma Phi Beta, Inc. for approval of a map amendment. There is a motion to dismiss on this item. Lance, do we need to hear anything from you, or we just need to approve the motion? Councilors, any motion to dismiss this item?
Motion to dismiss this item A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to dismiss item A. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, item A is dismissed. Takes us to 7B, receive public comment regarding request from Cobalt Homes LLC, represented by Dale Sorrell, for approval of a map amendment to rezone the property at 1199 West Airport Road from RSS single lot small lot single family residential district to GC commercial zoning district for commercial development. This is CC-19-154. Mr. Dorman, did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Lance.
Thank you, and good evening to everyone. I'm Lance Gross with the Community Development Department, and the first application before you tonight is a map amendment. As the mayor had mentioned, they're wanting to rezone the property from RSS to CG. The hatch pattern on the map indicates the subject site. It's just to the south of West Airport Road, and Washington Street is about 350 feet to the east. The airport property is about 2,000 feet to the west. The property is zoned RSS. RSS is also located to the north and also to the south. RT, residential two-family, is also located to the north. RMI, residential multifamily intermediate, is located to the east, and public is located to the west. This is a bird's eye view looking at the site, looking to the north. You can see Airport Road is at the top of the subject site. There are apartments to the right, single family, and also duplexes to the north, and single family to the south. And the property owner actually owns the portion that's right below the blue box. It's currently zoned RSS. And right now, I'd like to introduce Dale Sorrell. He can come up and explain his project.
Hello, Dale.
Hi, I'm Dale Sorrell, 12511 East Lakeview. We currently don't have any prospective buyers or lease tenants for the area, but my hope in requesting the rezoning is that we can then market it to someone that would hopefully complement the airport and all the great things going on there, or there has been a little interest in some office or some type of business going in there. So I have met with the homeowners to the south of the parcel that I own, and expressed that when we're ready to do something with the portion that's residential, I'll leave it residential and kind of work with them to put something in that's agreeable to them as far as how it's going to impact their neighborhood. But the portion on the north half of that would really have no impact on that neighborhood that consists of Newman and Hillcrest along Monroe. So I request that you approve our zoning application and allow us to proceed.
Councilors, any questions? Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Lance, could you, well, is there I guess a planning commission recommendation, or I need to do the hearing first? All right, I think I did this to you last time, Lance. I called you up and then I opened the hearing. At this time, I will open the public hearing. I think we have one person who signed up to speak. Is it Ann Habeneck? Okay, thank you. Having no one else signed up to speak, I'll close the public hearing. And now, Lance, please let us know what the Planning Commission's recommendation was on this item.
Yes, the Planning Commission made a recommendation to approve the application by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Questions, counselors, for Lance or anyone else at this point?
I know there was some discussion about the comprehensive plan and where this property fit into that. Could you explain that?
Yes. Based upon the staff report, it fits within the needs of the comprehensive plan. So it's in line with what the comprehensive plan states.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just ask a procedural question. So is this one tract of land, this whole open area, and we're just rezoning part of it? Can we do that? Like, can we rezone half of a parcel?
Well, let's see. The owner actually owns the entire, this entire space or area. I think it's just under 8 acres total. And the legal description that's been submitted for this application would just contain that parcel that's highlighted.
Okay.
So it's a succinct parcel it's a succinct parcel, the north piece of that. It's not, the 8 acres is not one parcel and we're separating it. It's multiple parcels and one parcel is being rezoned.
Right. That is correct, yes. Right now, it is under one ownership, and it will be after the rezoning as well. He'll probably, actually, I think he's already submitted a minor subdivision to subdivide the property, I believe in 3 different tracts. Yes.
Okay, so there's no issue with us only rezoning a portion of the existing parcel?
As long as the portion is large enough to
Meet that.
qualify under the zoning requirements, you're okay. You can have multiple zoning classifications on a single parcel. It's just making sure that they're in compliance. They meet the size and bulk standards.
Thank you. Councilors, any other questions? Was there a motion?
Motion to approve CC-19-154.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Planning Commission recommendation and approve this rezoning. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the item is approved. That takes us to item 8, general orders. Sub-item A, approve budget amendment appropriating funds for the rewrite of the City of Stillwater Hazard Mitigation Plan, CC-19-153. Mr. Rob Hill, how are you tonight?
I'm good, Mayor. How
Have
are
you
you?
recovered from this weekend?
I did yesterday. So thank you very much, Mayor
Before
and
you
Council.
get started, I would just say, we really do appreciate all the work you and your team have put in for homecoming weekend. It was a great weekend and an uneventful one, at least
Uneventful.
from our standpoint, although you guys were working very, very diligently behind the scenes.
We were, and you know, it's always good when you can walk away and say we were absolutely bored.
Good.
So, but everybody seemed to have a good time, and we estimated, you know, the crowds to be not probably record crowds, but one of the largest we've had in a while. So, very excited.
Good.
Rob Hill, Emergency Management Director. This evening, Emergency Management is seeking council's approval for a budget amendment appropriating grant funds that will allow us to begin the rewrite of our hazard mitigation plan. Short and sweet.
I feel like we talked about this already.
We have. We've met a couple of times. We met last year at the end of the year to carry forward monies for our match portion of this. And then I believe 2 weeks ago, I met with you and came before you for a resolution to begin the process.
Yeah, okay. And so this is just appropriating the money that's coming out of
From FEMA. Yes.
All right. Councilors, any questions for Mr. Hill?
My motion motion to approve the budget amendment to appropriate funds to begin the rewrite of the hazard mitigation plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this budget amendment. Please vote. With a vote of 5 to 0, the item is approved. Takes us to general items, item B, status report on dilapidated property addressed as 716 West 9th Avenue, owned by JAE LLC. I think Mr. Bostic, or are we just having? Okay, Mr. Jones, you want to come give us an update on the status of the property?
Thank you very much. My name is Jeff Jones, 4805 West 11th Avenue, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Update on the property. I have spoken with the zoning gentleman right over here, and am working to see if we can do a duplex, in other words, remodel it, which it already is a duplex and has been a duplex. And I presented to him that the property next door to it, which was more or less in the same condition that it was several years back, had been redone into a duplex and is actually shown on the tax rolls as a duplex and is a duplex. And he is now having to go back into past history to find out how they were able to do that and get the permits for the zoning, because it was RSS at the time it was redone into the duplex in the way in which it has been, remodeled. And that's what I'm wanting to do to that property, because the capital to remodel that to make it profitable needs to be a duplex instead of a single family dwelling is what it needs. So I have done that. I have worked on bids as far as remodeling. I have not received any bids yet on the duplex, but I have received one as far as if I do have to do demolition on it. I do have a bid on that, but I'm hoping not to do that. I'm wanting to remodel it. But my holdup right now at the present time is the zoning situation on it. He said he was going to go through that and see, and he thinks it's possible that we can get the zoning so that we can do some type of clause. I'm not an attorney to tell you exactly how to do that, but to make it so that I can remodel it. And then I will, if that is possible, that is what my goal is to put it into a lower priced housing, because if I completely tear it down, it's going to cost a lot more money to make it into a single family, or if it was a duplex, than what it would be to remodel the present property and make it more affordable duplex in that area of town. And that's what I'm looking at doing. I have other properties that I have done things like this for, and they're my retirement is what they are. But that's where I am as far as the process now is concerned. I'm waiting for the zoning, to find out if we can do that. If we can't, as I told you the last time, I will remove the property. I hopefully don't have to do that, but because I would rather remodel it and get it there, because I had been using it for storage. I've moved out everything that was inside. There was the reason, as I said, that we boxed it up and stuff like this is because I was getting some items stolen out of it. But I've removed all of those, so if we have to, we can, demolish it. I would prefer not to. I would like to, if we can get the correct zoning, and I've got a couple of people who I've worked with in the past as far as remodeling, and if I can remodel it at a decent price, that's what I want to do, and then give a lower priced rental market for that area.
Yeah. Thank you for the update.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Councilors, any questions for Mr. Jones? I think I'm just going to try to recap this when we talked about this on August 26th, where the evidence was presented that the structure is dilapidated in accordance with state law. It's dilapidated and abandoned, and been boarded and secured in excess of 18 months. And I think we allowed for the extra time because of the late notice that I think Mr. Jones felt like he'd received, and also to see if he could get some of those estimates on whether he could turn it into a duplex. It doesn't sound like you haven't received those estimates back.
I have received one estimate as far as
tearing it down.
As far as the remodel, not at the present time.
Okay. Councilors, questions or thoughts on this issue? I mean, my position, I think, personally, would be that we've taken a fairly hard stance on these matters recently, and given the length of time the structures have been in the condition they're in, and the fact that we seem to, in the past, not just on this structure but on others, been willing to continue to give continuances and waiting and not necessarily seeing the results we'd like to see. I think my sense of it is that we need to make the conclusion that this is currently dilapidated and or abandoned under the relevant statutes and order its removal.
I agree. I think that, I understand, Mr. Jones, that this is your retirement and it could be different, but everybody has told us that. Everybody says, you know, if I just had a little more time, I could change this into whatever. And I'm sorry that it's happened this way, but I think I would agree with the mayor.
So, well, other comments, questions? Mr. Dorman, just for clarification, we need to make that conclusion, or there needs to be a motion as to that conclusion of law?
Right. You did not approve the abatement order when you did this last time, so you would need to adopt the proposed order and abatement and demolition order and establish the dates for presentation of plans and a actual final tear down.
I'm trying to remember what we did on the dates from those. We gave people till 1st of November.
November 4th is the return date on the first round that you did, which at that point they have to present the evidence of permitting and so forth. If not, then at that point you'd authorize the mayor, the city manager to start soliciting bids and start the process of the city taking down the properties.
Given that Mr. Jones already has a bid on demolition on this structure, I don't know that there's a whole lot of need to extend that deadline from the November date.
I would agree.
Is there time required to pull the permit? They have to demonstrate the permit being pulled by November 4th, is that what you said?
As I understood the other orders, is that they were to come back, those persons were to come back on November 4th and produce evidence that they were proceeding with getting the structures taken down themselves. And they were to present evidence that all of the proper permits and things had been done, as was the case with the apartment complex that you dealt with over the summer. And then if there was evidence of that, then they had until the first meeting in January to have the structures removed. But if there wasn't any evidence, then my understanding was that we were to proceed with to publish notices and solicit bids for the manager to take down those structures.
So are we saying then the fact that he has a bid for the tear down is enough to qualify for that? He's moving forward by that November 4th, or does he need to go and pull those permits as well? And is that enough time for him to pull permits, is I guess my question.
I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know how long. Not enough time. I mean, this was August, end of August, so September. I mean, an extra 6 weeks from that November 4th date would be reasonable.
I mean, it seems like that would take, I mean, he's started, but it seems like if he's got to show proof, I don't know that there's time working with our staff to show proof of permit for
So could we do the first
demolition? Do we need to give him some more time?
November. The second meeting in November would be or the second meeting in December would be the return date for the necessary permits and surveys, and then
Is that enough time?
December 16th.
I mean, from a staff perspective, I just want to make sure we're not shooting ourselves in the foot here.
Certainly, Paula Dennison, Assistant City Manager. Once an individual has somebody come out and remove the sewer, provide a sewer cap on the facility, then our staff goes out and inspects that just to make sure that there's nothing, debris or anything going to get back into the sewer system. And if that is signed off on, then the demolition permit can be issued. So it's not a matter of staff time that's involved. It's a matter of having someone go out there and actually perform the pre-work in order for the inspection to be made and then the demolition permit to be issued. So second meeting in November, second meeting in December should be ample time.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Second meeting in November. should be able-
Yes, yes. And I'll just re-caveat that it's subject to the whomever he gets to go out there and do that sewer cap and get it ready for city staff to inspect. And those usually run, plumber can do it, some of the wrecking companies around that pull a lot of demolition permits, it's standard for them, so it's just a matter of them being able to work it into their schedule.
Okay.
So wouldn't it be unreasonable for us to say proof of permit on November the 18th?
Okay.
Agreed.
Yes, sir.
Can I speak one more time?
Please.
The bid that I have is from Foot by Foot Construction to do this. They had to do one for me one time when I had an apartment burned, and they had to take it out for me, which they had to do. They secured all of the permits. They secured the whatever the plumbing was and everything like that. I do not know what their schedule is because when I talked with the owner, he said he had 3 others he was doing also.
Okay.
And I have the bid from him, and that's who I would like to get it done or have them do it. But again, I cannot give you a basis of reference time as far as that is concerned. Second thing is, I'm leaving town on Wednesday and going to be gone to visit my grandchildren, and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So I'm not going to be able to do anything for the next 2 weeks because I am going to Washington State. But I would, if I could, I will turn it over to Foot by Foot, and as quick as they can get it done. That's Kyle Eller who owns that, and he can do that. But again, I cannot give you a definite date because he's just given me the bid, but also told me that he had 3 other structures that he was taking out, and that he is the person that does all of the permits and everything else like that. And that's what he did the last time when I had one that burned down. Thank you.
Thanks.
So let's look at a calendar, shall we?
I think I would like us to have a firm date, and then if something really happens, Mr. Jones will have to come back and explain that on November 18th.
November 18th.
I mean, that should give, hopefully, ample time.
It's almost a month.
Yeah, I mean, if he's able to give them notice.
13.
and
That's
Yes.
second meeting in.
In November.
Second meeting in November.
Is the sewer capping something that the resident or owner has to be present for to accomplish? No. Okay.
Okay, so November 18th and January 13th, is that what you said?
Yes.
So at this point, I will make a motion to adopt the findings of fact in the draft abatement and demolition order regarding property at 716 West 9th Avenue in Stillwater, and the conclusion of law, and that the property has been boarded and secured in excess of 18 months, and it is considered dilapidated and abandoned pursuant to state law, and issue an order that move that we issue the order that the owner presents evidence of permit and progress towards demolition by November 16, 2019, November 18, 2019, and that the final date of removal for the work be January 13, 2020.
Second.
That was a motion.
That's second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that motion's approved. All right. Item 8C, a Census 2020 update. Ms. Dennison, how are you tonight?
I'm fantastic, thank you. I am Paula Dennison with the Assistant City Manager. What I have for you was going to be the census video that has just been produced. However, it is rather lengthy, so
It is
if
very good and
anyone,
informative.
It is very informative, yes. It is located on the census website, paynecountycensus.org. And under the Why Census Matters tab, why does the census matter to you? And that is the video. I would encourage everyone to go out there and take a look at it. One of the unique things that we are doing is Stillwater has taken the lead, and we have gotten with Payne County, we have gotten with all of the towns and cities within Payne County. So it is a cooperative effort, not each individual community doing their own census effort. We've all joined together. We all believe that the better off any one of us are, then the better off all of us are. So we are working together. We've been meeting off and on, took a little break during the summer, meeting off and on for about a year. And we have 45 citizens of our entire jurisdictions who are participating on the Complete Count Committee, which is the local committee. We're a partner with the state's Complete Count Committee, and it's our local committee that is meeting, breaking out into subcommittees. We have a hard-to-reach subcommittee. Becky Taylor, as an example, with Our Daily Bread. She is the lead on that hard-to-reach subcommittee because she knows the message that will better resonate with her clients. We have an educational committee, and that's Oklahoma State University. They have a number of representatives, and it's also the Stillwater Public Schools on there. They know what message will resonate with their parents and students, and the teachers even. A government committee is all of the jurisdictions, the government-led within the county, and we have a business community. The chamber is the lead on that. Once again, they know the messages that will resonate with their membership and with the businesses and industries around. We're fixing to gear back up again. The subcommittees have been meeting to really craft what their individual messages are. We're going to pull all those messages together and continue to do things like the video, make them unique for those subcommittees. Any of the jurisdictions that want to host any census events, all they have to do is let our civic engagement team know, and they will be those events will also be put up on this common website that we have. So we're staying in contact with our partnership specialist at the state level. And she's very involved, knows everything that is going on here, and is extremely supportive. She keeps telling me that we're one of the leads in the state. So the opportunity for us to have a complete count everyone once, and count them in the right place, we're heading for it, and we're very confident that that will be the outcome.
Excellent.
Be happy to answer any questions, and if you don't have any, once again, paynecountycensus.org.
I noticed online a while back somebody asking about census jobs, and I saw that the Census Bureau was hiring like 500,000 people to help count around the country. And there's a link, I think there's a link either on our site or on the Census 2020 site that you can apply now for jobs as helping as a paid census worker as well. So if you're interested in that, I think it's just census2020.gov/jobs or something. We'll make sure it's on the
Yes,
site
we
too.
will make sure that it is on there.
So, thank you so much for all that work. I know, like I said, I think I said this last time maybe, but I've noticed around the country, other cities and counties just now talking about their complete count committees and just setting them up now. And you guys have been working already for a year on this, and it's a big job and an important one. So we appreciate all the work you and everyone
We're
else.
pretty
in the county.
competitive, so we like to be on the lead out there.
It's important.
Yes,
It's
thank
important to get that count.
And the video is really
It is.
quite interesting.
Really helpful, a lot of great information there, so please hit the website and check the video out.
Be a quiz next.
That's a good idea. All right, item 8D, quarterly financial report, CC-19-158. Christy Clark, how are you?
Good evening, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
All right, so in your packet this evening, there is a financial report on the first quarter of FY20. And so we do anticipate providing this report on an ongoing basis each quarter going forward.
New, right?
It is new. It is new, yes. So very excited about this. Staff continually monitors revenues and expenditures and how they, and their relationship to the budget. And so we want to be sure to take action when needed, anytime that, there's any modification needed to the budget. As we've reviewed the first quarter activity, we have found that revenues and expenditures are on target. Or they're on target when we take into account seasonal activity and one-time receipt of funds and cyclical payments, so those things such as capital outlay or debt service payments. And so there is no concern at this time by staff of our ability to meet our FY20 targets, and so there is no action being recommended along with this report at this time. With this being a new report and something that you will continue to see, I did think that it would be beneficial to kind of walk through the report this evening, so you can better understand the information that's being presented and then give you an opportunity to ask some questions if you have questions. So pages 1 and 2 of the report are a very high level, at a glance view. These schedules include all of the funds of the city and the activity for those funds occurring during the first quarter. A separate presentation is provided for the general fund, the Stillwater Utilities Authority, and the Stillwater Economic Development Authority. All other funds of the city are grouped together and reported underneath the title of other city funds. And so these other city funds include the Tourism Fund, the Rural Fire Fund, Stormwater Fund, the Transportation Fee Fund, the Transportation Sales Tax Fund, the Self-Insurance Fund, the Debt Service Fund, City Capital Fund, the Airport Fund, and then all of our grant and donation funds. So just kind of want to reiterate that all funds of the city are captured within these first 2 pages. So in this at-a-glance summary, we are providing the estimated ending fund balance for FY20, and this is based on budgeted and actual sources and uses of funds. So it is important for us to monitor this estimated ending fund balance because we don't want to find ourselves in a position of ending up with a negative balance come year end. You will see that in the SEDA fund on the at-a-glance, there is currently a negative in the estimated projected fund balance. And so staff is looking at this and reviewing this, and we are going to be taking steps to decrease expenditure so we don't find ourselves with a negative fund balance as we move forward. So when we look at the estimated ending fund balance, I want to be sure that we remember that most of these funds are actually designated or restricted in their use. So designation and restriction of funds occurs through some sort of a legislative action. It could occur through contractual obligations, just simple action that you as counselors or SUA trustees take. And so when we have these designations and restrictions placed on the funds, that does limit how we can use those. So we can't just appropriate those for any general purpose. So we can only use those for those intended purposes. And so those designations and restrictions have been identified and footnoted on the report. And those includes things like restriction for the repayment of debt, restriction for the use of the half-cent sales tax on just transportation projects, restrictions for the refund of customer utility deposits, restrictions for the use of grant and donation funds, and then we also have designation of funds to be used for capital improvement and also for our reserves. So pages 3 through 12 go into a little bit more detail, and then pages 1 and 2, and they provide first quarter financial results by resource type and also by type of service that's being funded. And so this is where you would go to see the activity for the police department or the fire department or the electric department. Again, just a little bit more detail. But unlike pages 1 and 2, these schedules or these summary these more detailed pages, they don't include all of the city funds. So here, we're just concentrating on the major funds of the city only. And then finally, pages 13 through 16 is a summary of capital expenditures by projects. So this is just a comprehensive list of all of our capital appropriations, the activity related to those, and kind of gives you a sense of the progress of these projects through the year. So as I mentioned earlier, you're going to be seeing this every quarter, and we hope to enhance this report kind of moving forward. Staff already has some ideas on some information we think that would be helpful to you all, but I'm also soliciting any feedback and suggestions that you might have, because we really want this to be a usable and informative tool for all of you.
I have to admit, when I first saw the 16 pages, I thought,
And the tiny
oh my
print.
goodness,
Yes.
exactly. But I really do like the way that the first 2 pages really is the overview of it, so you kind of can get that overall picture. And then
Right.
as I had maybe a specific question about a certain area, then the rest of the pages helped me identify then why that would fit in where it did. So to me, it was very, very helpful. And the 16 pages weren't overwhelming at that point. So
Okay.
I appreciate the way it was organized. So
Where can citizens see this?
We will make sure that this is on the website, most definitely.
Good. Because it's a great overview of what's going on and all the different areas that have to be monitored. It's very helpful.
So, just for fun,
Yes.
since we like to talk about roads, page 5 is the Transportation Sales Tax Fund Financial Summary. Annie, it's got a lot of numbers, but if you get down to the bottom, there's unrealized fiscal year 20 revenues, unspent budget appropriations of 9.3 million, and a fund balance of 5.4, an estimated ending fund balance. So that unspent budget appropriation is stuff that we have, which is 9.3 million here. That's stuff that we have appropriated money for projects, transportation projects with that money. We just haven't got to the point where we've spent that money yet,
Correct.
correct?
That is
And so then
correct.
if I flip over to page 15 or 16, with transportation projects, and I can see each of these amended budgets, and a lot of these that have 0 spent on them.
Yes.
That's that money.
Yes.
If I could go through and add that up,
Yes.
it'd come up to 9 million.
What's under transportation and it's on page 14, that's going to include more than what's just in the transportation sales tax fund, but those, yes, those numbers will be
Generally
included in
goes
that.
with that,
Yes,
so.
yes.
Like we talked about before, there's a lot of these projects that are funded, ready to go. We're just still in the process of getting to them. And this helps people see that, and
Yes.
helps people see where, some of these projects are. Perkins, the half-cent project at Perkins and Lakeview, this thing we're just talking about that's only spent 19% of the money so far for that, specific project, we're still going to be doing that over the years, right?
Yes, correct.
This also includes funds that we budgeted last fiscal year that have been carried over.
Correct,
Correct?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
It is a really great, useful tool just to kind of, sometimes when we're up here kind of incrementally talking about these things, it's hard to capture that larger picture. And I think this is a great tool to start to do that even on that quarterly basis. You kind of start to see where our decisions and staff's decisions on allocating funding and where all that goes. It's a great tool. Thank you guys for putting that together.
Yep. Thank you for attempting to explain 16 pages of numbers. And explaining, but attempting to get us to understand them.
Right,
Yes.
right. Well, as I said, I am open to any feedback or suggestions you have, because I want it to be usable and for you and our citizens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, like Counselor Zanatti said, I think it's great starting with that big overview, breaking it down into a little bit more detail, and then breaking it down into a lot more detail. It gives us the chance to kind of go back and see, okay, well, let me see specifically what's going on here. So, yeah, great report, and certainly we'll do some more review and get feedback to you and let you know what else we'd like to see.
great.
I wonder,
Yes.
as you publish online, if you'd be able to put a small kind of glossary of terms or user.
Yes, that is a great idea.
I feel like sometimes when I'm in my job and explaining budgets and things, sometimes we have to remind our younger staff and things that haven't been exposed to a lot of accounting terminology, what all of those things mean. I wonder if that would be useful for the public.
That would, I think that's a great idea,
as well.
and that wouldn't be difficult at all to add that.
Yeah, just to kind of just, again, I think you've done such a good job making it user-friendly. Maybe just adding some of those terms would help just the general public that doesn't have exposure to those accounting terms and how you...
What is a budget appropriation?
Right, how you look at, I mean, it's, that's not in everybody's normal day-to-day vernacular, so I think that'd be really helpful.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah. Anything else, counselors? Thank you, Christy. That takes us to item E. Under 8 general orders, ratify city manager purchase of property adjacent to Stillwater Regional Airport, northeast of runway 422, more particularly described with a legal description that I'm not going to read. CC-19-156. Melissa, I'm sure you're here to read us the legal description, correct?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'll defer to Mr. Dorman on that. Melissa Reams, Deputy City Manager, before you this evening to ask you to approve the purchase of property adjacent to our airport and included in the ultimate runway protection zone. Staff became aware that this particular piece of property was going to be available at auction the end of September. Our airport director, Paul Priegel, reached out to FAA, and they encouraged us strongly to try and secure the property. We also learned that this would be a grant-eligible purchase. It may need to wait a couple of years to be reimbursed, but they would participate in the purchase of the property, and this would be a 90-10 type grant for us. So Norman McNichol and I went to the auction, and we learned a lot while we were there because things have changed quite a bit over the years. And we were able to secure the I'm getting turned around. It's going to be west, so western part that abuts the runway 422. This will allow us some expansion capabilities in the future, and I'm hoping we really have to have that discussion in the future with you all. And it also adds to our runway protection zone. So I am here this evening to ask you to approve that purchase. We were able to buy 26 acres at $17,500 an acre, $17,500 an acre, a total of $455,000.
Counselors, questions from Melissa?
Did you buy anything else?
No,
By accident?
no. I really kept my eyes and my hands down.
Melissa, in the report, it says funding for this comes from the positive budget to actual variance for fiscal year 19.
That would be one option I would like for us to consider. So in Christie's previous report that you just looked at, that positive budget to actual variance that we are anticipating is $2.7 million. This way we could go ahead and pay for the land, it be ours, and then we will document and submit to FAA for reimbursement. So it kind of would sit on our books, I think, as a receivable, depending on when we were to get that grant money back.
If for some reason the FAA says, never mind.
Well, then,
I mean, it's
we
still part of our
we don't
long-term
have
plan.
anything in writing, so that is the risk that we take there, is that they would, for whatever reason, need to not reimburse us.
But at that point, theoretically in the future, if that were to happen, this money has actually already been spent, you just take it off
Correct.
the receivables.
It's paid
So
for,
it's-
and
so we're
yeah.
not-
So the receivable would be the grant money coming
Right.
back in.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because we don't have anything in writing, it may be more of a footnote type item as opposed to really a book entry.
But in any event, I mean, we want this property for the future expansion of the airport.
Yes, I really do believe that, and probably more importantly, the runway protection zone. This was a piece of property that evidently was, developers had been looking at. And you could build houses that abut an airport runway. I don't necessarily know who would do that, but you could. And so it was just, we just decided that if we could win at the auction, this would be the best thing for the city and for the community and our citizens as well.
I think maybe one thing in our report, it says, just sort of, because again, we get to a lingo of airports and things, but it says that the runway protection zone is to enhance the protection of people and property on the ground.
Correct.
So the reason it's kind of an imaginary line, so to speak, to make sure that we're being protective of homes and people on the ground, property on the ground.
Exactly. It comes to my mind of airport or airplane incidents, things in the air, things dropping down on people, that kind of
It's
protection.
difficult to imagine why these people wouldn't just give it to us, honestly.
But the good thing about this is we can do a lot of things on property like this. We can lease it to someone who maybe wants to pasture cattle or horses. We can lease it to someone who may want to produce hay off of it. There are things that can be done. They become small revenue streams, but they're revenue streams. So it will serve a purpose as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of a 10, 20, 30-year outlook for us.
Absolutely, and as you have pointed out before, Mayor, that has to be part of our focus as well as looking into the future.
Absolutely. All right, councilors, if there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to ratify the purchase of the 26 acres adjacent to the airport.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to ratify city manager's purchase of this property. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the item is approved. Item 8F, establish an inspection fee of $100 for the annual reinspection of all medical marijuana facilities by approving resolution CC-2019-21. Mr. Gross.
Yes, thank you.
What's this one about?
Well, you thought you might be able to get through a meeting without discussing medical marijuana, but it's not going to happen.
Hasn't happened in a couple of years at this point, has it?
Yes, but basically the state enacted recently, this past summer, additional rules and regulations concerning medical marijuana facilities. And one of those items affects the city of Stillwater, and actually any community that deals with them. And it's a compliance certification. And basically what happens is that the applicant will come in, submit this, and we'll send out inspectors to check on, say, like the building code, fire code. It's very similar to the way the annual alcohol licensing works. So we've set it up in the same format. And we've looked at different communities and to see basically what they charge, and it's anywhere from $0 to $150. So we felt like, $100 was a pretty good fee. So, but
Can't do it as like a percentage of revenue?
be nice.
I hear those places are making good money.
Be nice.
All right, that makes sense. I saw that form, actually, somebody who owns a dispensary here in town sent me the form and said, hey, we're going to have this form filled out. Who's going to do it at the city? And I think we were all kind of going, oh, really? This is new?
Yeah.
Great. And it's fairly detailed. It's not just you're still here. I mean, we have to certify a number of things there that require us to do some work. So the fee, I think, makes sense.
Yes.
So is this a resolution we're approving, or is the resolution later on the agenda? Did I miss that? Oh, there it is. Sorry, bottom of the page. All right, so we don't need to take any action on this agenda item.
That's correct.
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
But now we can take action at item 9A under resolutions. Resolution 2019-21, a resolution amending the building safety rate schedule to adopt a fixed fee for medical marijuana inspections for annual inspections of medical marijuana facilities in Stillwater. Councilors?
Motion to adopt resolution 2019-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, resolution 2019-21 is adopted. 9B, Resolution 2019-23, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma Municipal Corporation to sign and issue an election proclamation calling for a general election and a runoff election if needed in the city of Stillwater. This is our annual election resolution. This would be for seat 3, currently held by Councilor Wedlake, which his term expires next year, next spring. So this would be setting a general election date of the 11th of February, 2020. And if needed, the runoff date would be in April, correct?
Yes,
April 7th.
I'm not seeing that.
April 7th.
Oh, there it is. I see it, April 7th. So then, Mr. Dorman, do you know when the filing period would be for this?
Starts December 2nd and runs through until 5 o'clock on December 4th.
December 2nd through December 4th would be the filing period for an election to be called the 11th of November 2020. Councilors, questions, comments, or motions on this resolution?
Motion to adopt Resolution 2019-23.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Resolution 2019-23 is adopted. There will be an election the 11th of February 2020. The filing period will be December 2nd through 4th, 2019. We got that? All right. Here we go. Resolution 2019-24, a resolution declaring the public necessity for acquiring ownership to real property and permanent and temporary easements on certain tracts of land hereinafter described for the purpose of widening and resurfacing US 177 North Perkins Road from McElroy Road to Lakeview Road in the city of Stillwater. This is a resolution that we need to declare the necessity in case we need to, what is it? Is it condemning?
You approved earlier the purchase of several parcels. This is the flip side. There are 5 parcels left. We are making progress, but it's going slow, and we need the ability to go ahead and file eminent domain if that's necessary, if we're unable to reach an agreement on these. And this is the mechanism that you use to start that process.
By declaring the public necessity that we acquire this land so that we can construct this necessary roadway improvement.
Yes, sir.
For the benefit of the public.
Yes.
So we've made, just so everybody understands, we've made offers we consider to be fair price offers for whatever it is we need to acquire from all of these folks. There have been negotiations. There are a few that we haven't been able to come to an agreement on what the price for that property should be. And so therefore we would, if we condemn this property, we still pay them fair market value.
Oh, yes.
Right, we don't just take it. I think there's a lot of confusion about how condemnation works, but we are trying to pay fair value, and this is a necessity to get these pieces of property so that we can get that road redone. Councilors, any questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to adopt resolution number 2019-24.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt resolution 2019-24. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, resolution is adopted. Takes us to item 10, ordinances on first read. Ordinance 3443, an ordinance closing 12.5 feet of right-of-way on the east side and on the west side of Southwest Street from 4th Avenue to 6th Avenue. This is the ordinance enacting our decision last week. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to advance ordinance 3443 to second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance this to second reading. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that ordinance is advanced to second reading. Ordinance on second read, 3442, an ordinance rezoning a tract of land addressed as 717 West 7th Avenue, 713 West 7th Avenue, and 709 South Ramsey Street from RSS Small Lot Single Family Residential District to RTM Two Family and Multifamily Residential District. Councilors.
Motion to adopt ordinance 3442.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance 3442 is adopted. Item 11, reports from officers and boards. Ms. Reams.
Nothing to report, sir.
Nothing from you today. Mr. Dorman?
Nothing to report tonight, sir.
I took you guys out of order.
Yeah.
Sorry. Councilor Zanotti.
Yes. For each Oklahoman not counted in the 2020 census, it is estimated that Oklahoma loses a potential of $1,123 in federal funding. So make sure you're counted. for you and for the Stillwater community. Find more information at thepaynecountycensus.org and also watch the video because the video really is worth 12 minutes of watch.
Absolutely. You're going to hear that every meeting for the next like 6 months, so be ready.
So get ready.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, we have another platform to engage everyone. Speak Up Stillwater, a new online platform designed to make it easy for Stillwater residents to provide input for city staff and council to see. Make your voice heard. Go online now to speakup.stillwater.org.
Thank you very much. Councilor Wedley?
It's time to start talking budget again. If you have any suggestions for next fiscal year's budget, give us your input using Balancing Act. We haven't talked about Balancing Act in a little while, but Balancing Act is the program online at stillwater.org that you can literally see all the numbers that we just went through and manipulate those the way you see fit. So once you have come up with your own budget, you can then submit that budget to the city, and we can review that. So we would urge you to do that if you have any input on the matter. So, and like I said, you can do that at stillwater.org under civic engagement.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Zlowski?
Yes, don't miss out on the Stillwater Halloween Festival coming up on Tuesday, October 29th from 5 to 8 p.m. There will be trick-or-treating, local food trucks, live music, carnival games, and free inflatables. Come in costume.
Okay.
Mayor, if I might,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
did have one thing.
Now you're the one getting us out of order.
I know, I'm so sorry. You know, I'm up here so
You're a sub.
frequently.
It's okay.
Yeah. But Councilor Zanotti attended the employee recognition luncheon with us, and we recognized 77 employees that day for their service. I was trying to remember, I think there were 2 or 3 people with over 40 years of service.
Yes.
And one of them wasn't Norman McNichol, so. But just so, it's such a great time, and we weren't there a long time, I don't even know that it was a couple of hours, but just a great way to celebrate the successes that the city has had, and our true precious resource here is our employees and our people.
And the outstanding longevity that
Yes, absolutely.
is serving our city.
So again, we express our gratitude to those
Absolutely.
employees.
Thank you very much. I will remind you all that this Saturday, October 26th, from 8 to 1 is our household pollutant drop-off recycling event, hazardous waste collection event. Saturday, October 26th, 8 to 1 at the Convenience Collection Center on Perkins Road. So household pollutants, paint, insecticides, pesticides, all that kind of stuff. You need to recycle it. Please bring it to the collection event and don't dump it in the drain or put it in the trash can. I will also remind you or let you know that our study session that would be scheduled for next week, October 28th, is canceled. Our next regular meeting will be November 4th. Okay, that takes us to item 13 on the agenda. A couple of appointments. First, we have the Board of Drainage Appeals, which I know sounds fascinating to everyone, but it's very important. This is a board that handles, decisions around stormwater and drainage and those sorts of things. And there's a group of folks who have special skills that serve on this board. We have one vacancy, and we also have one application from Madeline Goddard to serve on the Drainage Appeals Board. So I will nominate Ms. Goddard to serve in the open seat on the Board of Drainage Appeals.
Second.
We have a nomination and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Madeline Goddard is appointed to the Drainage Appeals Board. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve. We also have an appointment or a designation of the chairperson for a tax increment financing review committee. This is a review committee to look at the possibility of potentially using tax increment finance on the Boomer Lake Station project that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever the heck that was. And so, again, this will be a review committee where we'll take a look and see if that's something that we want to use. It will include representatives from all the taxing jurisdictions, the county, the school board, Meridian Technology,
And the health department.
the county health department, and then also a collection of citizens as well. So I would like to nominate Councilor Wedlake to serve as the chair of that committee for us in that service. And he hadn't stood up and run away, so I will
Proudly accept if I am so voted on.
We have a nomination and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Councilor Wedlake is appointed as chair of the Boomer Lake Station Tax Increment District Review Committee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your willingness to do that. All right, that takes us to adjournment for the city council. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the city council meeting. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, city council meeting is now adjourned. At this time, I will call the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for October 21, 2019 to order. On the consent docket, we have approval of regular meeting minutes from October 7th. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the consent docket item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. No. I'm rushing at this point. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Takes us down to general orders. Item 5, approve a budget amendment allocating funds from the Electric Utility Rate Stabilization Fund up to $202,400 for the relocation of overhead electric service lines in preparation for the widening of the intersection at Perkins and McElroy Roads. SUA-19-36, Mr. Lawrence Smith. How are you tonight?
Great. How are you?
Doing well.
Good evening, trustees. Lawrence Smith, Electric Utility Director. Great segue. Monty talked a little bit about the project, and you guys have been discussing a little bit this evening, so you're fully aware of what our role is, and that is to relocate some of the electric infrastructure or overhead infrastructure around the intersection of McElroy and Perkins. On the map that's on the screen and that was in your packet, I'll kind of use the pointer here to kind of show what we're talking about. The idea is that this is McElroy east and west, is to where the arrows point here is where we're talking about pulling the overhead electric back to, as well as this arrow right here going to the south, and then this is to the north. After it'll involve some undergrounding of some circuits to maintain our system infrastructure there. After the distribution, the 12,470 volt lines are removed, the only lines that will remain overhead will be a 138,000 volt OG&E line that's running on this side of McElroy, and our 69,000 volt line that runs across the intersection this way. I got a question from you. Thank you for your question. And my brain was thinking distribution, and I wasn't thinking transmission. But it will really clean the area up well, and we believe the cost to be about $176,000 that we do have in the rate stabilization fund. However, we've asked for a 15% contingency in our final recommendation just to make sure that we can get everything funded. We're looking at about 13 to 16 weeks to complete the project, depending on manpower. It's not an overly complicated project, but it is there is a lot to do. And so I have an alternative here that I could read, or I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Trustees, any questions? Yeah, Lauren, is this going to require any closure of the street during the project?
For the electric stuff, no. Now, it may be that we have a lane tied off or something while we're removing and moving stuff around, but not actually shutting down the street.
Okay.
Is this, I assume there's going to be other stuff we have to move as part of this project at future dates? Or is this the only thing we're going to have to?
This is the only thing on the electric side, and if there was any other infrastructure, I would kind of lean back to Monty and say if there's water or gas.
I believe that's correct. When you did the Lakeview work, we went ahead and did that. We knew what we needed, we just didn't focus on it.
Good.
I think we're good.
It's good.
Just electric is what I'm aware of.
Excellent. All right. This
Okay.
is exciting stuff, I think, for me to approve because it's it's progress on major projects, and
Yes.
that's always good to see.
Absolutely. So we have alternative one, approve the relocation and authorize expenditures from the Electric Rate Stabilization Fund up to $202,400, which includes a 15% contingency for the procurement of materials and services necessary to complete the relocation as requested by approval of the attached budget amendment. And alternative two is just simply direct staff to not proceed with the relocation.
Trustees, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the attached budget amendment allocating funds from the Rate Stabilization Fund up to $202,400 for the relocation of the overhead electric service lines in preparation for the widening of the intersection at Perkins and McElroy Roads.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this item. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that motion is approved. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you very much.
There is nothing else on the agenda tonight. Are there any reports, trustees, officers? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the SUA meeting. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, SUA is now adjourned. At this time, I will call to order the October 21, 2019 meeting of the Stillwater Economic Development Authority. On the consent docket, we have regular and executive session minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the consent docket?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. That takes us down to resolutions. Resolution 2019-2, a resolution creating the Stillwater Economic Development Authority Tourism Advisory Committee. This goes back to some point in the past, not that long ago, but it's been a couple of months, talking about creating a new advisory committee to help us sort of overall take a look at tourism spending and where we need to be allocating funds and all that kind of sort of thing. Anybody have questions about this resolution? Basically, I'll succinctly explain it. Creates a board of 7 members to perform this function. One will be appointed by the SEDA Board of Trustees, who will serve as chair. The city manager will be a member. One representative of Visit Stillwater or the successor entity, who's providing the marketing service to the city. One representative of OSU, and then 3 citizens at large, one of whom must be affiliated with the Stillwater Hotel Motel industry. The Board of Trustees, we will select the 3 citizen members, and then Visit Stillwater and OSU self-select their representative. Everybody's got to be a member or a resident of the city. Pretty standard for the rest of our boards. Everybody serves a 3-year term. The citizens will each will end up serving 3-year terms. We'll stagger them at the beginning, so one will serve 1, one will serve 2, one will serve 3. The duties of the committee shall be to advise the SEDA Board of Trustees regarding best practices for tourism development and the retention in the city of Stillwater, to advise the SEDA Board of Trustees regarding the use and expenditure of hotel room tax revenues, annually review the performance of persons or entities contracting with SEDA for tourism development and related services, and assist SEDA with the development of long-range plans for tourism development and related services. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to adopt resolution 2019-2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that resolution is adopted. Staff will, I assume, come back with a schedule on when we'll actually appoint folks.
You could, let's go ahead and set it for the next meeting
Okay.
if you'd like to do that.
Okay. Yep. Let's do that. We'll reach out to OSU and Visit Stillwater to nominate their folks, and then we can at least start the process of nominating.
And then
folks here.
you'll also need to select somebody from the SEDA board to serve as the chair. So
Yes.
one of the 5 of you will actually serve on that committee as well.
Sounds like fun. Okay, so let's put that on the agenda for next time to talk more about the appointments. Okay, nothing else on the SEDA agenda. Are there any reports from officers or board, or the board?
Nothing.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SEDA. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, we're now adjourned.